Hi children, today in this video we are going to discuss about one more interesting topic, that is about malnutrition children. We have already studied that food is very essential to our body in order to carry out the biological activities in our body. So the food which we are taking, we need to check it whether it is containing all the nutrients or not. Isn't it? So if all the nutrients are present in our diet, then it is called as balanced diet. So let us see the definition of balanced diet before going to study about what is meant by nutrition children. Okay? So let us see balanced diet. Balanced diet children. Okay? So what is meant by balanced diet? The diet. What is diet children here? Diet is nothing but the food which we are taking daily, isn't it? So the diet which contains all the nutrients in required amounts, then it is called as balanced diet children. Okay, so let me repeat again. The diet which contains all the nutrients in required amounts, then it is called as what children? Balanced diet. So here, what are nutrients here? So when you classify these what children nutrients, so it is of two types. Macronutrients, isn't it? And the second one is micronutrients. Okay, macronutrients as well as what children? Micronutrients. So what are macronutrients here? Macronutrients mean the nutrients which our body require in larger amounts, then it is called as macronutrients. So such as like carbohydrates, proteins, as well as what children? Fats. So these are called as macronutrients. What are they? So carbohydrates, proteins, as well as what children? Fats. So they are called as macronutrients children, because they require in larger amounts children. Okay, our body requires in larger amounts. Then what about the micronutrients? Micro means what children? Small. Isn't it? Small quantities. The requirements of these nutrients is very less. Isn't it? In a very less quantity. So those nutrients we call it as micronutrients. For example, to these micronutrients are, you see vitamins children. Vitamins comes under this, as well as minerals also comes under this. Isn't it children? Okay. So what is balanced diet here children? The diet which contains all the nutrients. That means carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins as well as minerals, isn't it? In required amounts to our body. So we call it as what children? Balanced diet. So if their amounts is in difference, that means what children? If the amount of these nutrients are less, what happens? Or if the amount of these nutrients are excess, then what happens? So this due to this lack of these nutrients in the body children, or excess of these nutrients intake in our body, that results in what children? Food related diseases. You know one thing children? So 2/3, that means what? 2/3 of world population are now suffering from this food related diseases children, isn't it? So I hope you have understood very clearly about this balanced diet children. Okay, now then we will study about the malnutrition. So already you have studied in the previous videos that what is meant by this nutrition children. Just now we will see what is this mal. Actually the meaning of this mal is nothing but bad. So bad nutrition. What is this bad nutrition? Bad nutrition means which our body, say that bad nutrition means what children? So it is nothing but what children? The nutrients, the availability of nutrients may be lacking or may be excess. Then we call it as bad malnutrition, children. That is called as malnutrition, isn't it? So if we give a definition to this malnutrition, children, so what will be our malnutrition? Then what is the definition of this one? Okay, the diet which does not contain one or more than one nutrients, then it is called as what, children? Malnutrition. So the diet which does not contain one or more than one nutrients in our what, children? Food, then it is called as malnutrition, isn't it? So let us see the what, children, reasons for this what malnutrition. Okay, so I will write here reasons for this malnutrition, children. Okay, the first reason of this malnutrition, why the people cannot get these nutrients, isn't it? So maybe because of poverty, isn't it? So because of what, children? Poverty. So the people may not get what required amount of nutrients in their daily diet, children. Okay. And as the second point, let us see, children. The second point is lack of awareness. Awareness, children. Isn't it? So lack of awareness. Because of lack of awareness of what? Nutritional values of food. Nutritional values. Value of what, children? Food. Then it is called, that also leads to what, children? Malnutrition. And what is the third one? So third point is maybe socio-economic conditions. Economic conditions, children. So maybe of social and economical status, they may also not get proper amount of nutrients, children. Okay. And fourth one is willful starvation. Willful starvation. Starvation means what, children? Not taking food. Willful starvation means what, children? Here, intentionally they are not taking the diet. So why they are not taking the diet here? Because children, most of the children, I am talking about the children, and even the what adults also, children, they don't like to eat all the kind of vegetables as well as fruits, children. They like only special type of food items. So they wish to take only that. So continuously taking the same type of what vegetables every day, then they may not get a proper amount of nutrients, other nutrients, children, isn't it? So willful starvation is also one of the reason for this malnutrition, isn't it? And next, fifth one, very commonly this is seen, children, that is beauty conscious. Beauty conscious, isn't it? So here the beauty conscious, children. So beauty conscious means what? Nowadays, especially the girls and even the boys also, children. So they wanted to maintain their body size and shape very fit. So for that, they are not eating the proper amount of what, children? Food, isn't it? Daily. So in the name of dieting. Got it? So this also leads to what, children? Malnutrition. Got it? So here, these are the 5 reasons for what, children? This malnutrition. Poverty, lack of awareness and social economic conditions, willful starvation, as well as beauty conscious. So these are the 5 important reasons for the malnutrition. Got it? And now let us see how many types of what, children? Malnutritions are there. Okay, so mainly there are 3 types of malnutrition, children. Let us discuss about those things. Okay, so the first one is what? Protein malnutrition, isn't it? It's a protein malnutrition. And the second one is what, children? Calorie malnutrition. Calorie malnutrition. And third one is what, children? Protein calorie malnutrition. Okay, so let me write it here, children. So protein calorie malnutrition, isn't it? So these are the three types of what, children? Malnutritions. What is the first one? First one is a protein malnutrition, and second one is what? Calorie malnutrition, and third one is what, children? Come on. Yeah, that is protein calorie malnutrition, children. Okay, so let me rub the board, children, and then we will discuss about what is this protein malnutrition, what are the diseases which comes under this one, and calorie malnutrition, and even protein calorie malnutrition also. Okay. Yes, children. So there are three types of malnutrition. The first one is protein malnutrition. Okay. So protein malnutrition, children. So what is this protein malnutrition? That means what, children? Proteins. There are lack of what, children? Proteins. Example to this protein malnutrition, this is children, kwashiorkor. Kwashiorkor. Isn't it? So in this kwashiorkor disease, children, so what is lacking here? Lacking in proteins. Isn't it? So lacking in proteins. So we have already studied, children, proteins are bodybuilding foods, isn't it? So in order to build our body, proteins plays a major role in building our body, children, right? So if a child is suffering from lacking these of proteins, children, isn't it? So the body of that child will not become what, children? Strong, isn't it? So weak body, right? So here the body is not very well developed here in the children. It's usually, so this kwashiorkor disease is seen among the children of 1 to 4 years of age. 4 years of what, children? Age. Isn't it? So, and the children who is suffering from this kwashiorkor, so they have their body is what, children? Weak. Their body is weak, and they have a dry skin, children. Dry skin, and they usually suffer with diarrhea. So diarrhea, children, they usually suffer with diarrhea. And one of the important what symptom which is seen in this kwashiorkor disease is edema. Edema. So regarding this edema, you will study in the lymphatic system, children, circulatory system. But let me say what is this edema. Edema condition mean, so water is accumulated in the cells, children, or intercellular spaces. So here, as a result, what happens here is, so the limbs as well as face, isn't it? So limbs as well as face will be swollen. Why? Because of edema. So water will be accumulated in the limbs as well as face. So because of the accumulation of water in the face as well as limbs, children, so face and limbs looks what, children? Swollen. The face looks very round, fluffy, isn't it? And one more symptom is also seen, that is stomach protrudes out. Isn't it? Stomach will protrudes out. It comes out, children. Belching of what, children? Stomach. So this is the main characteristic of the kwashiorkor. As to children, a child suffering from kwashiorkor, so how can we identify is, so because of seeing the fluffy face, children, as well as limbs. Okay, so body growth will be what, children? Very less, and the face looks very fluffy, that means a round shape, and stomach also will be protruding outside. Limbs also will be what, children? Swollen because of the accumulation of water, isn't it? So this is main characteristics of what, children? The kwashiorkor disease. This kwashiorkor disease is because of lacking of what, children? Proteins in their diet, isn't it? And next one is the second type of what malnutrition is calorie malnutrition. Calorie malnutrition, isn't it? So in this calorie malnutrition, children, what we can say here is malnutrition example to this one is obesity. Obesity, isn't it? So this is lack of what children? Intake of proteins, but this is excess intake of calories. That leads to what children? Obesity. Obesity means what? Becoming very stout according to their height, according to their height as well as what age, their body weight will be more than that. Sometimes it is doubling also, isn't it? So such condition we call it as what? Obesity, isn't it? So calories, how do they get calories, children, here? By the intake of carbohydrates or intake of what, children? Fats. By taking excess of carbohydrates and fats, children, so what happens? Fats are deposited under the skin and they looks very much what, children? Stout. Got it? So as a result, what do they have any kind of what health issues? Yes, certainly they will have a health issues. So what are those health issues, children? So because of the high fat content in their body, cholesterol are also seen in their what, children? In the blood vessels. As a result, cardiovascular problems it may arises, isn't it? So cardiovascular problems, isn't it? And not only this, so the children who take or the people who take excess of fats, children, isn't it? So what happens is our body, our human digestive system cannot able to digest the excess of fats, isn't it? So as a result, gallbladder stones also can be seen. Gallbladder stones. And not only this, renal stones also can be seen. Renal stones. That means what? Stones in the kidneys. Got it? So here, obesity is what? Excess intake of what, children? Calories. That means a person who is taking more amount of fats and carbohydrates. So what happens is fat will be deposited under the skin. As a result, they become very stout according to their height, according to their age. So their weight will be more than that. Okay, so as a result, cardiovascular problems, gallbladder stones and renal stones. So these are all the problems, health issues, which is because of the obesity, children. Okay, and the next third type of what malnutrition is protein calorie malnutrition. Protein calorie malnutrition. So that means what, children, here? So this a person, this is also usually seen in the children, infants of 0 to 1 years of 0 to 1 year age. This is because of what, children? Repeated immediate pregnancies. If a person, mother is getting immediate pregnancies one after the another, children, then what happens is mother cannot nourish the child, cannot supply the requirements, nutrients to the child, isn't it? So this results, the child who is having this protein calorie malnutrition, children, cannot get the proper proteins as well as what? Calories also. Calories mean carbohydrates and protein. So this type of malnutrition example is marasmus. Marasmus. Okay. So marasmus is a disease. It is an example to the protein calorie malnutrition, isn't it? The person, the child who is suffering from this marasmus, children, so in their what diet, protein is lacking and calories such as what? Carbohydrates as well as proteins also lack in their what, children? Diet. Okay. So what are the symptoms of this marasmus disease? Isn't it? So this marasmus disease, their body is very dull, children. Very weak, and mentally they are very dull. So mentally they are dull. Mentally they are dull means what, children? They are infants. So how can we test their IQ here? So we cannot test their IQ in the infant stage. So how can we know that they are mentally dull? That means what? They will not respond according to the stimulus, children, isn't it? So when we say anything, so they will not give the response. Okay, so that condition is very important in this what marasmus. It is one of the important symptom. Children, mentally they are dull, and also their body is very weak, children. Okay, so body is weak, very weak. So very weak means what? So there is no calories in their body, isn't it? So there is no carbohydrates and proteins in their diet, and also there is no what, children? Fats also in their diet. As a result, so even the fats which are deposited under the skin, it can be used up, and when we remove the what, children? Easily we can see the ribs, children, isn't it? So such a very thin as well as what, children? Very lean body. Okay, so very thin and lean body is seen in this marasmus patients, children, isn't it? So mentally they are dull and they are thin as well as lean, children, and usually they suffer from what? Diarrhea. Okay, and their body, skin is also very much dry, children. Dry skin is seen. Okay, so if you observe this marasmus as well as kwashiorkor, children, there is common symptoms here. What is that? Diarrhea, isn't it? Dry skin, and the body is also very weak. There is only one difference here between this what kwashiorkor as well as what marasmus is only edema condition. That means what? Accumulation of water inside the cells. Got it? So here, by observing this edema only, we can identify that the so-and-so child is suffering from this kwashiorkor. And if his body is very weak, that we are able to see the inside bones also, then it is called as marasmus. Okay, and excess of intake of what, children? Fat content food. Okay, so our caloric food, children, then we get what, children? Obesity. Okay, so most of the children are suffering with an obesity because not aware about the what, children? Nutritional values of food. So they are, by eating a junk food, children, most of the children as well as the adults also are suffering with this obesity. And we can also say that obesity, it is an hereditary factor also. If a grandfather or a mother or a father or grandmother, if anyone in our family is suffering with this obesity, so there may be a chance of what, children? A child also may be obese children. Okay, so these are the three important what types of malnutrition, children. So we have seen what is meant by malnutrition also, and types also, and reasons of malnutrition also, isn't it? So here the first type of malnutrition is protein malnutrition. Example to this is kwashiorkor. The main symptom in this one is edema condition, children, accumulation of water. And the second one is calorie malnutrition. This is obesity. Example to this is excess of intake of calories. Okay, and here protein calorie malnutrition. This is lack of proteins as well as what, children? Lack of proteins as well as what? Proteins as well as calories. Okay, so let me write it here. Lack of proteins and calories in their diet. So the first one, kwashiorkor, and the last one, that is marasmus. So both of these diseases, okay, because of lack of nutrients, right? And what about the obesity? It is excess intake of what? Calories. So this thing you have to keep it in the mind, children. Okay, so this is about what types of malnutrition, children. Very important question. Okay, so about this edema also. Okay, keep remembering this about this edema, children. Edema condition is accumulation of water. Anyhow, we are going to discuss this one in circulatory system, that is in lymphatic system, children. Okay, so that's all for today, children. I hope you understood this topic, isn't it? If you really enjoyed this class, so please subscribe to my channel and also share it to your friends if you feel that it is very needy. Okay, that's all for today, children. Thank you very much.